Okay, so I took off all the tape, all the lining. I basically gave it about 24 hours, just under 24 hours to dry. It's you don't want to wait too long, but you don't want to take it off too fast. Too fast, you'll probably smear the stuff, and if you wait too long, you might pull off a big chunk of it, and you really don't want that. Because they definitely recommend it. Varies depending on what you have, but it seems like they have flash coats for an hour. Dry time. I think the dry time before taking off the tape was something like 12 hours, maybe to 24. I waited 24. That worked out well for me. But after you've taken off the tape, before you actually do any like real use with the stuff, they actually recommend like 72 hours before you like if for truck beds at least they say before you start throwing stuff back in. So I'm gonna give mine about 48 hours before I put the seats back in. Because last time when I put stuff back in on the seats, not that it really matters because when the seats are on you don't see it, but it did smear the bed liner here where the seats were, and that could just be over time. But I'm still gonna give it just because I have the time. I have nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I took the week off, so I'm just gonna give it the full time I can give it. But in the end, it came out pretty good. I mean, I would still say this was much better than last time. The coverage alone is so much nicer. Basically, I'm just going to give tips here for anyone who might be doing this themselves. I used Hercule liner and I used Raptor liner, and they both came out very well. This is, mostly the Raptor liner here. Hercule liner's more up there. I think the mix is a very intelligent choice, like a very wise choice, because like I said last time, if you watched the previous project when I did this, the I just could not get up in there with the spray gun. You could just not get up in there. But for everything else, I prefer the texture of Raptor liner, and the ease of spraying makes it just much cleaner than I think you could get on with a brush, even if you were rolling it on evenly. I think it just works out better having both. So I would do that again. Plus, having both a quart of that and a full kit of Raptor liner was enough to cover the whole thing. I think that would be enough because I ended up having a leftover bottle. So I think even if this was my first time doing this and I didn't have a previous coat on it, it would have been enough to satisfy my needs. Now, some of the other improvements I made, doing things like this was smart, taking these out. You don't need to plug up these holes. I've seen people do it. I don't think you need to do it. I didn't do it. It worked out well for me. Anything that doesn't have threading really doesn't need a hole, like this. I had stuff in here because I didn't want the spray to go underneath and over there with the floor plugs that I don't want to plug up or spray over. Those had tape under them just so it wouldn't overspray. These were pretty hard. You obviously don't want to cover these up because you want these to make contact with the ones that go on the door. But I just got tape right around this, and that worked out much nicer. Last time I had like tape around this, and it just looked really ugly. I didn't like the way it came out with the like yellow around it. It didn't look good. The only part I had here that I had any real problems with was this. I had stuffed one of these in here, but it kind of had expanded again, the earplug, and then when I pulled this out, it kind of ripped a little bit there. But that's not a big deal. I'm gonna get plugs for all of these anyways. I have plugs for these that just go in while there's nothing here. So if you don't plan on putting, I mean, if you plan on putting a back seat back in the Jeep, you don't, that won't even matter. You know what I mean? A bolt's going to go right over that. No one's going to see it. For me, I'm not putting my back seat back in because because I can't, have because I really don't typically need it in. But I'm just going to get like little plugs to plug all these up, and then it won't be any the worse. Areas like these are tough. They're hard to get up. Like I said, there's no good way to hit the bars here because you're trying to hit here and then you accidentally hit this. You're trying to hit this and you hit the background over there. So just try to get back, do it evenly, try to go nice. I think I'd recommend hitting the back first and then hitting the bar so you don't do it the other way around. I think the results would be worse. Somewhere like here, before I just cut this off square and I didn't like the way that looked, this came out beautiful. This is exactly basically what I wanted. This right here, I love how it just kind of seamlessly goes up into this. The other side didn't come out so good. It kind of peeled on the end here. Now that could be me, the way I taped, or that could be the tape itself. Could have just been luck of the draw, you know what I mean? I use frog tape. You can use whatever you please. I personally just think frog tape has always worked well for me. It's what I've used on all of my projects, and I've never been particularly disappointed. Mostly, usually when things like this happen, I blame myself, especially this time, because this time I rushed the taping a little bit, and I have spots like this, this, and this. And that's due to poor taping on my part. The first time I did this, like I said, I took an entire day of masking off slowly, going around, making sure the whole thing, I used drop cloth here as opposed to newspaper that I used this time. and I made sure everything was like airtight. This time I kind of rushed it a little bit because I thought, you know, I knew what I was doing, and I did, but I still rushed it, and that's, I pay for it with stuff like this and this. But I'm just going to slowly, easily rub this off. Like I said, my paint's not in good shape anyways, so getting it off won't bother me if it, even if it doesn't come out perfectly. I got like some overspray on this I'll take care of. That's not a big deal to me. If you have a really, you know, immaculate body, your paint's in good shape, take the time to do the masking properly. Tape it really well. Make even drop cloth. Make sure you cover the whole thing. I even got some when trying to spray up like this. The overspray is pretty big, so I have a little bit on my tire here. I can feel, not a lot, but a little bit. Also consider that when you're in the tub spraying out, you're going to spray out onto whatever you have over there. So I just put up some cardboard and some old wood. It's a good idea. Also, it's a good idea for when you have something like this to start. You don't want to start when you start spraying. Just to start, you know, going at the tub. You don't, like the first time I sprayed, I had used my gun previously, and I had cleaned it, but some stuff had still gotten stuck, so I started over here, and actually I have it over there. It shot out like a lining around the tube of the gun, like the barrel, and I would not have wanted that to stick to inside of my tub. So good to do some just to get your feel for it. I shot at right around 40 psi, but kind of upped it a little bit. Like if you're going in close here, keep it at 40. If you're going to stay away at the back, you might want to adjust it to 60 so you can hit that pretty good. And then as you get closer here, you might want to readjust back to 40. That seemed to work really well for me. The closer you are, the less PSI, less pressure. You'll be better off with that. Up here, I got much closer on these this time, and I highly recommend that. That came out much better. I didn't like the yellow around here that I had before. There was like, I had taped it here, and it was a yellow here. You don't see it. Here, you would see it, though, and this was, I recommend coming right up to these. I recommend that. This is a little thing that's really hard to work around if you're not going to take this out. I'm not even sure what this goes to be honest with you. I'm not sure what this does. But I just taped around it. I didn't want to cover up anything I thought I may need someday. You don't want to cover this up because it would be really hard to get to. Up in the back there, let me get a light just to show you. This is where the Hercule liner came into play, and I love it. It covered up everything you cannot reach with the gun. Everything over there came out good. Everything on the passenger side came out really good. I really can't complain with that. Anywhere where you just couldn't spray, like up there, you just can't get it with a spray gun. And that worked out really well for me. Getting along the trim here made it easier too. Everything here came out very well. It does look good. When the console goes back on, I know it'll cover up that, so I'll be good this time around. I won't have to look at some yellow I missed again. The pedals, I'm actually pretty happy with the way they came out, you know, except for the gas pedal. I didn't really like the way it came out, but I could always chip this stuff off if I wanted it. It's actually kind of, the Hercule liner when bunched up like this is actually kind of rubbery. It's kind of an interesting feel. It's rubbery and it's a little more textured, this stuff, but it's like not cutting my hand, you know what I mean? It's more like rubber. It's really hard to explain. It's definitely like not as hard as it might look. And then the Rapture liner is more like kind of like an orange peel. I've heard it compared to an orange peel, and I would say, yeah, more like a very rugged orange peel. But it's nice. It's nice stuff. I do like it. Both of them, Hercule liner and Rapture liner. Other than that, the railings came out really nice. They came out good. This spot came out okay over here. Still better than the cutoff I had before. But now this is nice. Covering these full will be good because I'll just go right over that. And I won't have to have this rugged cutout like I had forever there. That was probably my biggest mistake. I really didn't like that. That looked ugly every time I opened the door. Now it kind of fell apart a little bit over here when I pulled the tape off. And this again could be the tape I used, could be I pulled it too fast, could be I didn't tape it well enough. Could be any of those things, but this didn't come out particularly beautiful. I really wanted it to, you know, curve and then straighten off at the end here. But this I'll probably just take an X-Acto knife and I'll probably just cut off the ends here. So I really can't complain about that. Everything here, you're only going to be able to get half of these things so perfect. The lines here, like you got a little piece right there, but you know what? That's really not the end of the world. Everything else has come out really nice. The whole coverage is really well. Even in here, there's a spot I can't get, but it's nothing like compared to last time where it was very visible. Yeah, the tailgate came out almost perfect. Over here you can kind of see, it's actually hard to see, so I can't complain, but there's like a little bit of yellow see-through right here where I didn't hit it the first time, but I hit this side much better. You can still see a little bit there, but it's impossible. Unless you take this seal off, it's basically impossible. Like I said, I bent this back like this and put the tape in around here. So it's as close as it could possibly get. You're only going to notice, the only way you'd notice if the tailgate was open and you were leaning at this angle for some reason. So I'm really not picky about that. The whole thing came out well. Again, I had a little bit of overspray here because I got lazy with where I was taping. And taping the top of this is really hard because I've left an edge around everything here, like the doors and everything here. Came out pretty well. Actually, this came out really nice. So that when the doors are closed, you don't see it on the outside. That's just the way I wanted it. But something like this, when this is closed, you're still going to be able to see this on the outside. And it's really hard to tape this off because if you tape it off on the top, then it's kind of on the inside. It's not going to look as well. So this is okay with me. I'm not that picky. Not everything can be, picture perfect. But this is so much nicer this time. Last time this was had a really thin coat on it. I hated the way it looked. Here was bad. And this came out well. I recommend taping this up like this so you can get even spray on it. It looks good. Don't cover up these. Cover up those holes. You don't want to get anything in the threads there. The railings here aren't going to matter much. If you were really picky, I mean, you could get these. It's not easy. It's actually very difficult to get tape around something like this even. But my padding for the roll cage here, or the roll bar, is gonna just cover this anyways all the way down to here, so it won't matter to me. But if you care, you could, I don't know, go up higher, or you could just do the whole thing. The whole thing wouldn't look bad at all, but it just take some more. Plus, you'd be spraying upward, and that'd be kind of awkward. Other than that, this came out real well. Everything over here looks just so nice. This came out right. I got a little on here, but I'm not complaining. This just looks so good. This side, actually, the curve here came out better, but the top kind of didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And then again, you've got kind of like this end here. Probably just take an X-Acto knife and cut that off just so it looks uniform. But this actually came out the curve here, just much nicer. That's basically how I wanted it. You may even want to go all the way up to here. I actually, as soon as I took these off, I thought maybe I should have gone all the way up here, but not a big deal. Doing that, just like that one thing, wouldn't even be that hard to do, like another one. Or even getting some Hercule liner for that. If I want to do touch-up in the future, that's what Hercule liner would be really good for. Just some touch-up, which I may end up doing, but the coverage on this is excellent. Yeah, as far as like closing tips, if you're going to do this, give yourself time. Don't rush it. It's just silly to rush. You'll probably regret it. This came out really nice right here. This is exactly what I wanted. That's just saying. Most things came out really good for me, and this second time around was really nice. Like I said, if you're going to do this, that's what I used, a kit of Rapture liner and then a quart of Hercule. Dealt well. I might even recommend if you can find any single bottles of Rapture to get an extra one. I think it's always better to have extra. Like, I ended up with an extra one now, so now if I have to do any touch-up anywhere, it's easy. I have touch-up, but if I want to hit, like I'm considering hitting my sides with Rapture liner, I have a bumper over there. Anything I want to hit with it, I could line up a whole bunch of little pieces, maybe like the cover for that, any of these. I have extra, so it's better to have extra than not to have enough. Better to have more than have less. Yeah, that's it. I'm just really happy with the way this came out. Everything is much more detailed this time. Everything came out much better from the experience I had last time, and I hope this can help anyone else who might be doing it for the first time. Just some experience for me. Things I found that worked, things I found that didn't work. It's time consuming, it's a bit of work, but if you like what you see, in my opinion, the rewards are well worth it, both for the aesthetic look of it and for how well it actually works. The stuff is tough, it's rugged, especially if you come into contact with something like liquid, water, anything. You don't got to worry about a thing with this stuff. It's really good stuff. I love it. And if I ever got another Jeep, I would definitely do it again. I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. But for now, the Bedliner project is all done.